Hi guys, well welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be checking out a new product and something which is perhaps slightly different to the usual kit that we look at. Nevertheless, it is an exciting piece of tech, something which many of you will, I'm sure, be interested in, and something which I actually use on a regular basis. So this here is the Freevision Vilta-M Pro. It is a gimbal for your smartphone. Now, popularity for gimbals has skyrocketed in the last few years, whether that is for cinema kits, DSLR, or mirrorless cameras. Larger gimbals are likely to appeal to a set user group, but everyone has a smartphone, and so for a mobile gimbal like this, which is going to stabilize your content, it is a fun gadget to have. Now, Pro is new to the market, and as such you may struggle to find somewhere to buy it. However, it is going to be available on B&H and Amazon for $150 US, which, if you look at the competition, it is priced reasonably well compared to some of those other favourites that many are talking about. Now, a bit of a backstory for you. I was actually on the hunt for a smartphone gimbal. I did all the research and ended up buying the Moser Mini Me, and what a disaster that was. To access it, you have to connect via Bluetooth, which simply would not work at all. You only have to go onto the Play Store or iTunes, and you can see just how poorly designed that Moser app is, even if you can get a connection. And instead, I ended up grabbing the Freevision Vilta-M from B&H, which, worked straight away and has been flawless since. I've taken it away on trips with me, and it is just so nice to be able to have something which is portable and can capture those special moments. So this is the storage box that Pro arrives in. As you can see, it is foam. It has the hinge along the back edge there to allow you to open it. And just open that now. You can see our gimbal is inside. It fits perfectly into there. It's nicely cut out and everything. And it is actually quite robust as well. So I've had this to Taiwan and back. And yeah, it's still intact. So we'll take our gimbal out. You can see we've also got the tripod legs. Really nice to have that, because with the Vilta-M you don't get any tripod legs, so you've got to go and source those yourself. And it's just nice to have these straight out of the box, and they're decent quality as well. You get the rubber along the edge to prevent it from slipping. You also get the charging cable that is USB-A to USB-C. Lanyard, which goes around your wrist and to the gimbal, so that you don't accidentally drop it. That can be tightened up like that. And you would also get the documentation, the quick start and user manual. Unfortunately, my particular sample here wasn't sent to me, but you can download those anyway off the website directly, and it's also quite nice to have that in PDF format that you can refer to off the PC anyway. Okay, here we have the Vilta-M and the Pro side by side. You can see that the Pro is quite a bit bigger, and we have different build quality. That larger size does mean that the Pro can accommodate larger phones up to 90mm, and it can sustain a greater payload up to 275 grams. And so if you have a larger phone and it's within those specifications, you should be fine. We also get a slightly larger battery, which claims to deliver up to 17 hours, which is pretty impressive, and it holds true. However, with all of that, the unit is heavier than its sibling, rocking in at 650 grams. Vilta-M Pro is a 3-axis gimbal, so it has a motor for the roll, the tilt, and pan. For storage, it has the ability to lock into place just like this. And the tilt section has a buckle which prevents the holder from spinning round. If you do trigger either of those, the gimbal will go into sleep mode, and when you unlock, it comes straight back out. Now, with this gimbal we can use horizontal and vertical modes due to the adjustment knob on the back of the holder. So if you prefer to shoot in portrait, then that is an option too. That holder, by the way, offers wireless charging if your smartphone supplies such a feature. Unfortunately, my OnePlus 6 does not have wireless charging, so I can't take advantage of that. Do bear in mind that using wireless charging will reduce the battery charge from the gimbal itself, although a full charge should last you a full day of shooting. To charge the gimbal, you just need to plug in the USB-C cable, which is located on the edge of the handle. The significant difference between the Vilta-M and the Vilta-M Pro is blatantly obvious. The Pro offers a catalogue of additional buttons above the grip for a higher level of functionality. Not to mention, we also get a focus wheel that has multiple uses. And so it's a shame that we don't get that better build quality with the metal housing just like the Vilta-M and that rubberized grip. But on the flip side, there is so much more customization and control on this Pro version. And so let's just run over some of those features. To get up and running, firstly, take your phone out of its case. Slide it into the holder by pulling the sides out. Balance her up, making sure that that phone is straight and level, and then tighten up that knob. And then switch on the gimbal. Once this is done, we just need to launch the FV Share app, which you should have downloaded, and then you can connect to the gimbal provided that you have Bluetooth enabled. So let's go over those external buttons. In the top left we have the scene mode selector, which allows you to shift between custom, walking and sport. So with the sport mode, the gimbal is much more responsive to your movements. And below that we have the menu back button, which allows you to scroll through the menu. Pro has some manual buttons to tweak things like exposure, shutter and ISO. And being able to get quick access to these without going into your phone settings is really handy if you plan to switch from auto to full manual mode and get the best image quality. To begin recording video, there is no need to press the screen. Instead, there is a designated button to trigger this. We also have a button for taking pictures. A light press triggers a quick focus, and a normal press takes the picture. That FM button triggers custom mode, allowing you to make use of hand follow, customized flash, and white balance. Now, like other gimbals, the Pro has a trigger in a convenient place to quickly access different modes to control the motors for each axis. So if you do a single tap, we get semi-follow mode, and this is highlighted with a yellow stripe. And so with this, the gimbal will just allow you to pan. The tilt and roll are locked. If we do a double tap, we get full follow mode with a red stripe. And with this, pan and tilt are activated, but there is no roll. Triple tapping forces the gimbal to return to its default position, which can be quite handy if you need to return back to forward facing. 4 taps jumps to point of view mode, and we get a yellow flashing stripe. With this, all of the axis motors are operational. And if you hold the trigger down while moving the gimbal, this allows you to lock all of the axis, and with it, you can get some pretty cool effects. In particular, we can use what is known as Inception mode. So if you hold the trigger, position the gimbal in a flashlight position, and then press left or right on the joystick, you can get this pretty cool effect. And adding this into your footage will definitely add a different perspective altogether. Incidentally, inside the app we can tweak the speed of the motors and the speed of the joystick by entering the settings for the gimbal, and this can get you the desired effect. So if you want quick, rapid movements, you'll obviously want the settings to correspond to that. However, if you want a more natural, smooth motion, then setting the sensitivity lower will get you better results. The focus wheel has 2 components. On the inside, there is what is termed as the parameter adjustment wheel. When you click on any of the buttons such as ISO, this wheel here allows you to scroll to each value. And the focus wheel itself, in its default position, will allow you to zoom in and out. And we have to say that the motion is very jumpy and it's not very smooth at all. Here are some examples of how this operates. We're hoping that Freevision can tweak this in a future firmware update. Now with this wheel, we can also jump into the settings on the app, go into the wheel function and switch from zoom to any of the available options. And so inside we have follow focus, roll axis, heading axis, and tilt motor. One feature which I absolutely love on Pro is shooting subject switching. This gives you the ability to get really smooth focus switching, which would otherwise be quite tricky to accomplish. And so on the side there is a focus or a zoom switch. You'll know which mode you're in by the on-screen display. Zoom has the plus and minus, while focus has point A and point B manual focus values. And so in focus mode, use the focus wheel to focus on something which is further away. Hold down that A button. That will then assign the focus level to A, and then use the focus wheel to lock onto something which is in the foreground. Hold down that B, and then that will assign B to that particular item. So now what we can do is just single click A, and the camera will focus on that point A that we assigned, and then click B and the camera shifts over to that item in the foreground. So it's pretty simple stuff, but very, very effective. Alright, well that is an overview of the features, and so next up is a short film of the content that I captured with the Vilta-M Pro just recently while I was over in Taiwan for Computex 2019, so enjoy! So that is the Vilta-M Pro, and that footage that you just saw was captured with the OnePlus 6. It's a bit of an example of the kind of thing that you might be able to capture yourself using some of the available features, and features are something that this gimbal has a lot of. And we'll actually be doing a follow-up video, separate video, of how to configure and effectively capture time lapses with this particular model here. And so one thing that I would say is that, compared to the Vilta-M, this Pro version doesn't really make the Vilta-M redundant as such. A Pro just offers much more customization, especially if you're going to jump into manual mode rather than just leaving everything on auto. Now there are some other features which we didn't touch on. This gimbal has face tracking, so you can draw a box around your subject's face or even the body, and the software will lock onto that target and it will adjust the roll, the tilt, the pan accordingly. And so even if you have the gimbal completely still, it will automatically move around to follow a subject. In our testing we did come up against a discrepancy, but it soon fixed itself. And as you can see, it does a great job even if there are other people moving in and out of frame. And you can see that I even moved a good distance away and it still continued to lock on. Now one of the main reasons that people invest in a gimbal is to really stabilize that footage. Using just your mobile phone and moving around is going to introduce a lot of bumps and shakes. And so to demonstrate how smooth our gimbal is, I hit the record button and went for a quick run. And as you can tell from the first scene here, movement is pretty good, but there are a few shakes. But with some adjustments there to the technique, those will disappear. And in this second scene, I have the camera there facing the reflected windows. Now you can see I'm running quite fast and it still maintains that stability. Without the gimbal, this footage would be a complete mess. And using that type of feature is going to be useful if you're doing anything which involves, fast follow type actions or even sports. And so to wrap up, there are a few areas that you need to kind of be aware of. The app for this gimbal absolutely zaps your battery life on your phone, so if you don't have wireless charging, make sure you take a power bank with you. We also found that the buttons weren't as responsive as they could be, which is more likely to be a software fix. Build quality is good, but I would have liked to see the rubber handle, a bit like the Vilta-M that we saw, just to make it more comfortable. But it is an excellent gimbal this. It's packed with some brilliant features. You can use portrait, landscape mode, control the focus really easy. You can do amazing time lapses, more on that in the next video. You get a full day of battery life. It'll cost you around $150 US, which is not bad at all. So brilliant device to take away with you on trips that you might have to capture those special moments. So guys, today's question for you is, of the features that Pro offers, in your opinion, what is the most impressive? Let me know in the top right corner. So that's it for me today. I hope you did enjoy today's video, guys. Please consider subscribing to the channel for more content just like this. And if you do, make sure that you do turn on that bell notification so you get notifications whenever we upload new content. If you have any questions on this particular video, on this gimbal, please let me know below. Take care, and I'll catch you guys next time.